instructions from the CEO in front of a gathering of some 30 managers. It was painful, and I had a vague feeling of nausea for several weeks afterwards. Worst of all, I lost some credibility in the company. About a year later, though, I came into my office, and on my desk there was an article torn from Fast Company magazine about Patagonia's efforts to reveal the entire ecological footprint of some of its products. On the article, our CEO, Mike Kaplan, who had just returned from a green business conference in California, had scrawled, "Auden, should we be more transparent?" I hit the ceiling. Transparency was exactly what got me into so much trouble in the first place. I had tried to speak the truth about the challenges of actually implementing green business practices, and look where it got me. Sure, I could have been more eloquent and careful with the press, but in the end, the article was a study in transparency. I stormed into Mike's office waving the article. Mike was laughing. He got it. And at that moment, I had an epiphany. All along, during and after the publication of the Business Week article, I had assumed that everyone in the company, including the CEO, shared my understanding of sustainability theory, of the desperate need for openness and honesty, and the reason it's better to be honest than to make people think you're making progress because it's good for PR. But I had been incredibly naive. I had spent 20 years thinking about these issues. There's no way I should expect other managers who had extensive backgrounds in other areas but not necessarily sustainability to have my level of understanding, any more than the IT guy should expect me to know how to write code. I was moving too fast, in one sense, and in another, I'd been delinquent in spoon-feeding senior management the key ideas of sustainable business, one of which is the concept of transparency. The problem, though, is that my situation is not unique, it's pervasive. Implementing the kind of change that will solve global warming is a slow, grueling process. And it's not even on the radar in most companies. Time is very limited, yet businesses continue to shy away from transparency. I was recently on a panel with a VP of Environment for GM, and everything that came out of her mouth made GM to appear to be God's gift to the environment. That GM is not. It has consistently opposed increases in gas taxes, fuel efficiency standards, and climate legislation. That's changing. But instead of saying, "We're great, love us," why wouldn't the VP simply have said, "We're a big, old company, one of the biggest and oldest in the world. We haven't been very progressive over the years, that's true, but we're trying to change, and here's what we're doing." That would have played vastly better than her spiel that created a constellation of eye-rolling in the audience. Why didn't she speak plainly then? The answer is that, as my friend told me, corporations want everything to be happy, smiley faces most of the time, and that's a big cultural obstacle to break down. In the end, we face a series of major obstacles, barriers to transparency, to new ideas, to new products. And we desperately need to find a way around those barriers so that we can make stuff happen on big and small scales alike. In effect, we have to overcome a series of no's. My old boss, Amory Lovins, likes to quote Wallace Stevens on this point. After the final no, there comes a yes, and on that yes, the future of the world hangs. This audio program is about how you get to that yes.
Chapter 1. Trench Warfare, Not Surgery. One must imagine Sisyphus happy. Albert Camus. Donnie's Carhartt overalls are so infused with dirt and grease that they crackle when he walks. Lean and haggard and in his 50s, he's got rings under his eyes from fixing balky snowcats at night in Aspen Skiing Company's vehicle shop. He rarely takes vacations, and he chain smokes Camels. When I suggested to him once that he might consider using a brake cleaner without a nasty carcinogenic solvent in it, Donnie flicked his cigarette to the ground and said, "Something's going to get you." Donnie is also a black belt in karate. Me? I'm an environmentalist in a starched shirt. But like Donnie, I've got a job to do. Mine is to reduce the company's impact on the planet and try to make this business sustainable to the extent that's possible. Donnie and I ended up in the same shop because the ski resort we work for is trying to operate as a green business. Donnie, and people like him, are the ground troops who are key to solving the world's problems.